When I think back to the happy part of my childhood, they always involved food. They always involved dinner. My mom would have dinner on the table promptly at 5:30. And when I think of home and happy homes, my mind goes to the kitchen. Being able to express my envisions of home in this exhibit is to pull out the stops of what's in my kitchen. I'm showing a single place setting with some of the utensils and implements like a salt and pepper shakers or a server that was part of a large 4-person dinner party. When I think back to art periods, I was always drawn to the Dada movement, where they would re-envision everyday objects into something extraordinary. So I kept cutting apart words and I kept applying them to different utensils and different pieces of cutlery. I had to add that 3-dimensional element of invoking the utensil that would be used to consume it. And I would like for people to see something and think back to their mothers or their grandmothers or their grandfathers. It's a way for me to help people bridge into their own histories and see things that maybe they forgot. And to me, that's a form of art. I'm on a couple boards of directors of galleries and nonprofits, making art and writing articles for magazines or websites. And I'm currently working on 3 different books. So I do as much as I can and as often as I can. That's just fun for me.
I remember like my first exhibit, I created an artwork that just was very personal, and it had a lot of like photographs of like my family. And there was like a moment with this older couple was there, and they came up to me and they're like, get it, like I see it, like thank you for doing this. That has been like my favorite part, where the connections that I'm able to make, I share those similar stories and people can see themselves and I see myself in them, and just like the power that art has to kind of make those connections. I teach 3 classes, like an introduction to art, advanced art, and then an honors like studio art class, which is like more independent. I didn't really know I wanted to be a teacher, but everything I did in my life kind of led me to where I'm at now. Being an art teacher also feels like an extension of my own art practice. I'm still nurturing it through my students, like helping them find their voice and their favorite mediums and discover the importance of art and why expression and creativity is so important. It feels like very creative to me, and it feels like a part of my practice. My art is very figurative, like I love drawing people. And so just like charcoal is like my favorite thing to use. I didn't grow up like going to museums. Art wasn't like something that was like normal in our household. So I didn't really discover it until high school. And I reflect a lot, since I'm a high school teacher, how important that moment was for who I am. I saw people that looked like me, that spoke like me, and I started kind of like learning about their stories. It just felt like a calling. What Leslie is saying to future Leslie is, I told you everything was gonna be okay. I told you things were gonna work out. Just breathe and take it day by day. That's what I would say. Like, we got this, you're good.
I've been doing design my whole life, but I'm new in art, and so I often feel like an imposter. I am applying next to other lifelong artists. But the real moment came, I submitted my artwork for the first time to this community art show at PJCC, and my piece got accepted, and I was stunned. Because I just didn't believe it. They had this gala and I invited my parents and we were walking around looking at everyone's art, and people would be stopping me and talking to me about my piece and how amazing it is. And I looked at it. I think I was glowing. and I realized that I am an artist. What influences my art more is my cultural background. I came here from the former Soviet Union. My parents brought me here for all the opportunities I wouldn't be able to have in Moldova. Things that shaped me as a human, as a grown-up, and also cute little quirky things that I stumbled upon. I am so excited about just continuing to paint. I'm not even done with my painting. I'm already creating ideas for my next one, and I'm already gessoing canvases. Some of my pieces are currently hanging in 2 different fields, coffee shops, one in a city and one in San Mateo, and then it'll be in a 3rd one soon. I'm almost out of all of my art with what's going to be here and at those Phil's coffee shops, so that makes me even more excited to continue painting and creating more.
When I started learning about the pre-Hispanic cosmogony, it all made sense that I come from a family of flowers and snakes. In the cosmogony, that means the snakes represent wisdom, and many of my family are teachers, and the flowers represent beauty. All of my family were very creative, very artistic. It's something that was very appreciated in my family. My piece is a mostly that is a pre-Hispanic codex. I have been taking classes to understand the art of Tlacuiloli, that were the scribes and artists of Mesoamerica, and I wanted to make a big project from that. I love doing cultural research. The central area of Mexico, the Valley of Mexico, has always been very diverse. Many people from different cultures in Mesoamerica will meet there and trade there. We had contact with many other pre-Hispanic cultures. I've been trying to connect with other people from those cultures to learn more, and I really want to showcase that into my art, bringing the past and mixing it with contemporary techniques to make us see the connection and the bridge between people who were before us and how that shapes who we are now. I'm gonna quote Guillermo del Toro because Guillermo del Toro always said we have all the time in the world. He said he never felt more tired and wasted than when he was on his 20s. I realized that I actually do still have all the time in the world to do whatever I want. Yeah.
I think it's been like my whole life, like ever since I was really small. I just like doing art, like coloring, painting. That's just always where I was most comfortable and like excited to be in those spaces, because I've always been pretty quiet too. I spend a lot of time just like being chill. I like to be relaxed. I'm pretty introverted. I think I just like always was making art or like finding little projects that I could do. I haven't been like recognized for my art like in a broader sense, so I thought it'd be cool if I was able to like exhibit and show other people my work. It's pretty nerve-wracking, but it's exciting. As I've been reflecting on my art, I think what I really like about art is that you can capture like a memory or a feeling and look back on it. I don't know, like looking back at the things that I drew or painted when I was younger, it shows how you've grown as a person. Sometimes if I make something or write down how I'm feeling, I can just kind of imagine my future self looking back on it. I remember there was like one lady, I was at this conference thing with my work and I was like sketching all the people that were talking below. It was in this big like hall, And this lady came up behind me and she was like, I'm so sorry, like, I don't mean to be rude. Like, never stop making art. Like, I've been seeing you drawing and like, that's really good. A lot of adults, they stop making art when they grow up and they have to get jobs. And so I think it's just words like that that really push me to keep going and follow what I actually want to do in life.
I try to show up as an artist everywhere I go. I see the world as an artist. I see everything I do as my art, whether it's taking something nice to a neighbor who's sick or being out there being an activist, going to city council meetings. I feel like as an artist I can move between social classes and talk to anybody and find interesting questions to have conversations. My work is like I change the medium on every project. I prefer to call it an inquiry when I start to look into an idea. And so I always think about what's the question that I want to ask, and then I think about what's the substrate. Is it doors? Is it suitcases? Then I have to think about how am I going to put the message on it, and the medium is part of the message. I'm going to be exhibiting Home in a Suitcase 1, 2, and 3. It's a series that a thread has run through all of my work because I started with my family history. Even though this is an immigration story that happened in 1906, starting with my great-grandmother, and the whole story of building a family in different homes, I realized too that when any immigrants leave their home, they're only taking what they have with them. But the one thing that people can't take away from them is their education, knowledge, and their memories. I try to make my art, especially when it's on political or social or environmental issues, to be really open-ended. I want to have a conversation where we're gonna like ask questions together and we're gonna have an inquiry and like keep all those plates spinning at the same time, because a lot of things are true at the same time. And I just think that that's what makes it fun and that's what makes it art.
I like the creative process. I like seeing something come together, and I like the outcome. If it's cool, it's cool. Over the course of my life, I've made all kinds of art, but right now I'm focused mainly on oil painting just because that's the medium I've fallen in love with. I've loved painting people. I don't know, it's always been my thing. I'm showcasing an oil painting of mine, kind of a double self-portrait of me on a couch with my younger self. The couch that I'm sitting on has always been there. Personifying a couch is kind of weird, but it has always been there since I was little. My dad's always had this couch, and it's gone through multiple moves and seen all the phases of my life, so. I do implement elements of modern art into my stuff, like I'll keep things loose, but it's all based around old masters like Caravaggio and all those guys, how they painted, what they see. I draw inspiration from all sorts of things. A lot of my paintings are of musicians or have music implemented into them. Yeah, music right now is probably the most dominant thing in my life. I've always listened to music, been around music. My dad's also a musician, so that's how I got into that too. Music's always been very interesting to me, and anything creative. I would hope music would take off and art along with it. I'm just kind of going with the flow, seeing what's going on. Well, obviously, nothing's set in stone. You can't force anything to happen, but I'm just gonna wish for the best and see what does. I'm just kind of along for the ride.
This is great. I'm actually kind of honored when I found out that there will be a lot of people coming to the space. It will be kind of a great opportunity for me to share my work locally, because actually I haven't really exhibited my work locally that much. I'm originally from Malaysia. I've been living in the Bay Area for 20 years now. I started photography in 2012, but prior to that, because being an architect, I've always love to take photos because traveling and part of my job, taking photographs. I can say that I am a fine art architecture photographer. I focus more on architecture. So my focus is to capture the essence of each building. My vision is how do I use light, shadow, and contrast and textures, and how do I use that for my storytelling. So I was looking at the meaning of home and what does it mean. And the one I'm showing would be the Mira building, which is a very funky looking residential in downtown San Francisco. I'm doing a comparison with a classical kind of Victorian building. It's modern living versus Victorian style home. Photography for me it's like my passion. I get very inspired. Photographing is one portion of it, but post-processing is another part of it. Post-processing is like painting. As you process your photos, you get more and more excited, I feel very inspired all the time.